This is Clubhouse Boxing, and this is Shane McGuigan. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks, mate.
Good. I saw you post on Instagram last week. Looks like 2025 was a big year for you. World champions, marathons, babies, marriage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a solid one. So it'll be hard to top it in 2026, but we'll do our best. So maybe a world title from Adam Azim, maybe undisputed from Ellie Scottney, and maybe Chris Smith winning a world title again. That would stand us in good stead for another great year.
And another, maybe like an Iron Man next or something, or another baby.
Yeah, fucking hell. I got two kids, a 3 and a 1 year old. I think we'll take our time with the next one. I've got a marathon in Tokyo and London marathons. I've got a couple of marathons to train for, but it's not the same as people winning world titles.
Right. Oh, you don't get the same buzz from it, no.
No, I mean it's a self-fulfilling thing. You know what I mean, like a hitting a time or something like that. But to see world-class sport, I'm a mere mortal just trying to get over the finish line as quickly as possible.
Well, you say that, mate. Me and you were the same age, and I was watching your training splits and your marathon training last year. I followed quite a lot of your journey, and those because I was training for an Ironman last year, and I was looking at your timings, thinking, "Fucking hell, that is rapid." For like I say, mentioning the age we both are. Yeah. That is some impressive timings, mate.
I know. So for London, I tried to do a sub 2:45, and so I was like, I got the advice from the physio, don't run quickly, and I just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna go. You're in it to win it, and I did 30k at a 3:53 split. So I was on schedule for it, and then my calf blew up. So Jake was actually following me in the tracker, and he just was like, "Fuck, man down." I was getting all these texts on my phone, going, "Oh, fucking hell, it was funny." But,
it's funny. It's funny you just mentioned that advice you was given, because that's literally what I was told. To go fast, go slow.
Yeah.
And it might sound weird, but it makes total sense.
Negative splits, always run the second half quicker than the first, but I don't know. Yeah, it's the problem is you're always looking for a time. The thing about boxing is like you're in against an opponent, whereas with like running or Ironman training and stuff, you're working against the clock, so you're always just going to try and edge that little bit closer. And with our slightly more tired bodies, you got to be a bit more realistic.
Yeah, right. We'll park that there, mate. On that note, on to business. Obviously, I've heard people asking you. You must be sick and tired of talking about Dalton Smith and Adam Azim's rivalry now, but we've got to ask you, what did you make of Dalton's performance? Obviously now he's proved that he is at that world level. What was your thoughts?
It's a great shot to finish, and he stood with him when he felt he needed to stand with him. I think I could hear the corner sort of screaming for him to box and move and stuff. But when you're in there, you got to be instinctive, and you got to sort of suss out. He knew that he couldn't do 6 rounds on the back foot, because by the time he then had stood with him, he would have been gassed. So he did the right thing. But it was an impressive performance. But there was some chinks there. You know what I mean? There was obviously you're looking at it, and there's definitely some chinks that he got hit too much. He was unraveling a little bit, but he pulled it off. So you can't be too negative, because at the end of the day, he got the win.
As a trainer, he said himself the game plan completely went out the window and he's gone toe to toe and stuff. As a trainer, what's that like for you watching on, and you can think, oh my God, what's he doing? Obviously it's paid off this time, but in general terms.
Yeah, because if it had happened 10 times out of 10, it might happen. He might have got the win 4 or 5. So you're gambling there, but it's not nice, because you can't. But at the same time, you've got to be able to adapt. Like, you have to adapt with the fighter, and his trainer's his dad. So there's no better person to be able to know the kid than his dad. So they did well. They pulled it off. But there's, as I said, conditioning wise, he looked tired. He looked fighting out of himself a little bit, and he's a naturally heavy-handed lad, and he's got good timing. And it was always going to be one of them fights that you can't use your heavy hands and your timing against Mathias, because he's just going to force you into those ranges where you can't get that space. So you're going to have to do something different, and he proved probably didn't train for it. He just proved that he pulled it out of the bag and caught him with a peach.
Yeah. So my understanding is that you've had him in the gym in years gone by as well as Adam, sparring alongside Luke Campbell, I believe. I don't think Dalton and Adam sparred each other, but you've seen them up close and personal sparring.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dalton got hit more, but was better with his attacks against Luke. But Adam was 18, you know, so like Luke Campbell that was sparring Adam Azim when he was 18, he would not have enjoyed the sparring against the 23-year-old Adam Azim. And I joke about it now that he's a different beast and different animal. But like, listen, they both are good fighters. They're both, Adam is a completely different fighter than when he was there. But Dalton, I think, is the same. He always was. He was a good standout. At the time, I think he must have been about 25. So. And
Adam was 18.
Yeah. So he might have been 24, 25. I think he was. Like he had that GB experience and stuff like that. He'd already been up GB, and he was already a pro with quite a few fights and decent experience. So. But Dalton knows that. Dalton's seen him up close. He's seen Adam fighting up close, and he knows that he's improved a lot.
So, as Adam's trainer, obviously, mentioning that sparring was such a long time ago, people tend to, talks of these two fighting has intensified, and it's only going to keep on intensifying now. Dalton's got a strap. People forget that Adam's only 23 and only 14 fights in. From what you're saying now, it sounds like you'd stick him in there with a world-level opponent such as Dalton now. Is that the case?
Yeah, definitely. Because he's had his learning fights. He's ready to go, mate. And realistically, by the time he's 25, 26, I want him to be a welterweight. Do you know what I mean? I want him to go up. He's a big frame. His days aren't numbered down at 140, but I think he will end up become a welterweight. So we need to make the big fights now at 140, and I think that's a huge fight. You got Hitchins. This is an eliminator for Hitchins' belt. That's a good fight. You got Antoine Russell Jr., who's southpaw, dangerous, but I believe Adam takes him out. And then obviously you got the winner of Lopez versus Shakur, which I've said previously that I think they'll be looking at probably like a tank or another big name. Do you know what I mean? Like another big name rather than a prospect coming through.
Did you say that this fight on the 31st is a eliminator
for
IBF?
Yeah.
So that means he's probably
not a final eliminator, but it's an eliminator, so it will put us in, I think, number 2 slot.
So the next one could be a final eliminator after this.
Yeah, or
And then so that would be Hitchins. Hitchins, wouldn't it? Okay, cool. I mean, obviously, what you just said there, you're clearly confident in Adam's ability at world level now, given as you just said that he's only had 14 or so fights. What's your response to Eddie's comments saying like he can't lace Dalton's boots, and even like Frank Smith?
When did he say that?
He said it post-fight. He says Adam cannot lace Dalton's boots. He's trying to goad him into a fight, saying he's not on his level, will come back down the levels to fight Adam. And then obviously Frank was saying on TalkSport last night, I believe, Frank Smith,
who doesn't,
was
he
saying,
always says he doesn't know boxing, so we don't need to talk about him.
Eddie's comments then.
Eddie's comments also doesn't know a lot about boxing. But yeah, he's a good businessman, and he's doing the right thing because, the problem with Eddie is he gets too invested. He gets too invested in his fighter, and I said that to him last time. I said, you don't get too invested, because there was once a time when he was singing Kell Brook's praises, and then he ended up working with Amir Khan, and Brook went off. So this is just the way it is. At the end of the day, he's a promoter. He's not Dalton Smith's friend. He might, he's not. He's a business ally for him, and you got to think logically with your head. And at the end of the day, it's a great fight to make. Do you know what I mean? Adam versus Dalton, whether he gets his hands on it or somebody else gets their hands on it, it's a great fight. But in terms of lacing Dalton's boots, they don't really know what they're talking about. And if Grant Smith said that, or if Dalton said that, then that's a different story. If that's how they feel, then that's because they really know him. Do you know what I mean? just like I know Adam.
Yeah, doesn't know what he's on about. So, I mean, looking at Adam's last fight, I mean, he looked punch perfect in that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a clinical performance, wasn't it, against Scobie. I mean, that was only, 8 weeks ago or something? So,
Yeah,
I mean, was he straight back in camp? I mean, what I'm saying is, he's going to be firing on all cylinders. This guy, I don't know how much of a live opponent he is or whatever, but I've seen that he's ranked with the IBF as well too.
Yeah.
But he hadn't fought in over a year. Like, what are you expecting Adam to do this
time?
time?
I think he fought in. I think he fought quite not like maybe May was it last time he boxed. I think he boxed Lemos, but he's been in there with Hitchins. People thought he could have beat Hitchins. It was a close fight, and then obviously Keyshawn Davies he got stopped. Easy for you to just look at on the box rec and say, oh, he got stopped by Keyshawn, who was really a lightweight, but Keishaw's now up at 140. He's a big guy. He's a decent puncher. Caught him with a great shot early on in the fight, and I don't think. We've got to prepare for the guy that went in there and gave Richardson Hitchins a nightmare of a fight for 12 rounds. Do you know what I mean? And that's who we're preparing for. And I think the fact that we've had a guy that's, we've had Adam box 12 rounds, get the stoppage in the last round in his last one. It's brilliant because it sort of stands him in good stead. He's fit. He's had a little bit of a week off, maybe a week and a half before he came back into the camp.
Little trip to Lapland, was it? I think.
Yeah, but ready to go again. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just ready to. Like he's just so up for it, mate. That kid. He just 4 weeks, 6 week camps is what he really needs because he never really gets out of shape, and he's like a throwback. You could box him 4 or 5 times a year in really good quality contests because he doesn't get hit very often, and he's always fit, and he loves the sport, so he's always there. He's disciplined. He's never that far away from his weight. He's like a promoter's dream.
Yeah. So speaking of a promoter's dream, obviously, hopefully a statement performance live on the BBC, of course, Boxer's new broadcaster. I'm just wondering, you've had Caroline, going to MVP, CBS hasn't re-signed with Boxer as of yet. Adam has stayed with Boxer. I'm just wondering, in the gym, has with all the outside noise, has there been any distractions, or has it been strictly business as usual? Because obviously there's been a lot going on with some of your fighters.
Yeah, but we manage them all, and everyone gets it. Do you know what I mean? Like Adam, it's just about the deal that they get. Do you know what I mean? And what we try and do is just get the best deals for them, and it's just part of the game. We don't really say, oh, Chris got paid this and you're getting paid that. It's just like you got a great deal. Caroline moves across to MVP. She got a great deal. She's going to get the attention. They've got all the female fighters. Mm-hmm. Boxer are starved. They were starved of a headline and a star. They've got that in Adam Azim, a young kid that speaks well, looks the part, can fight, really fight. That's perfect. They should have launched with him rather than Jamie TKV versus Tracer Clark, but they didn't. And this is going to be a great showcase for BBC because they're going to get a chance to see a world-class fighter right on the cusp of a world title fighting for free in terms of like he's on the BBC, free to watch it, no subscriptions, you just get unbelievable viewership, and that's the most important thing.
You mentioned Adam being a promoter's dream and stuff. Obviously, he clearly is now the golden goose at Boxer, isn't he? The top dog, essentially, who they're going to be looking to build the stable around, essentially. Obviously, he is still with Boxer. Can they deliver what he wants from his career in terms of, I'm assuming, belts, money, and legacy in no particular order?
It's not a question for me to answer. I believe, if you look at it this way, they've done a great job with Adam. And hopefully it continues. Do you know what I mean? It's the thing about boxing is it changes on the click of a finger. So you can have a great run 1 minute and you can be starved of an opportunity next. And you've seen great promoters where they've had great TV deals like Bob Arum with ESPN, and then where's he at now? Do you know what I mean? And the one thing that Boxer have done is they've adapted. They've adapted when they lost Sky, and they've got great viewership. Whether that equates to a lot of money or not, I'm not sure. But if you got a great fighter in Adam, that will generate money and it will generate attention, and you can do a lot with a kid like that. So they've got to understand his value, and up to now they have.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of TV deals, you just mentioned, obviously rumours circulating that MVP could be penning a deal with Sky, which I'm assuming would be good news for you, given Caroline is one of your fighters.
And
it could mean that her next fight is on Sky Sports. What's your thoughts on that?
Could be great, but we'll just wait for them to basically supply us with a date and a TV network. At the end of the day, she wants to box Terry Harper next.
Is that the
fight?
Yeah?
That's the fight we want. We want a unification. That's what's been talked about. And MVP, same as Boxer. They've delivered. They've delivered for our fighters. And Ellie Scottney as well. She'll be looking to box for the undisputed. So they're delivering, and we're very happy.